Good morning, Nachum. Good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Wow. This is what we call a Shabbos Kodak moment. Namely, we have this privilege tomorrow of taking out 3 Sifrei Torah. From the first one, we're going to read from Parshas Miketz. From the second one, we're going to read from Parshas Pinchas, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. And from the third one, we're going to read from Parshas Naso, from the 6th day of Chanukah. Finally, let me just tell you that the Haftorah comes from the Nabi Zechariah, and it's a upbeat Haftorah. It's Haftorah which talks about the return to Zion and the vision that the Nabi has with the Haftorah, with the menorah, and 2 olive trees on its side, feeding into the menorah, which our rabbis interpret to mean Emeritus, the 2 individuals who will be appointed and anointed with the olive oil, namely the Kohen Gadol and the King of Israel. Emeritus, the Haftorah promises us that that's what is in store. Wow. Very, very special. Okay, let's do a very important halacha. I'd like everybody to be able to talk intelligently and to know why you cannot use this small colored candles for lighting Shabbos Chanukah candles. What's the reason? The reason is because whenever we light near Chanukah, if we're lighting after 5:10 or beyond, it has to burn for at least a half an hour. Tonight, with candle lighting being approximately 4:10, so we have to light near Chanukah before we light near Shabbos, because even though Shabbos is more frequent, 52 times a year, and Chanukah is only 8 days, we Ashkenazim follow the opinion of the Bahag that when a woman lights Shabbos candles and she says Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos, she's already accepting Shabbos upon herself, and she can no longer light the menorah. Therefore, we light the menorah first. So it means that whenever we light the menorah, there has to be the ability for the light or oil to last after 5:10. Now, what's special about 5:10? The answer is that Shkia, sunset, is 4:30, and the candles are to burn from Tzeis, which is approximately 40 minutes after sunset. Therefore, the ideal time is to light 5:10. We can't light 5:10 tonight on Shabbos when Shabbos candles were lit 18 minutes before Shkia. So therefore, it has to be able to burn from the time we light the Shabbos Chanukah candles, which is about 4:05, in that ballpark. We have to have it burned till 5:10, and then another half hour minimally, so that brings us to an hour and a half, a little bit more. So in order to facilitate that, you cannot use the small colored candles. You have several choices. One, if you use oil, wonderful. Many of the receptacles for oil, and the oil burns for 2 hours or more. if you don't have a menorah that you can put Shabbos candles in, if you put Shabbos candles, once again, it will last for at least an hour and a half. However, if you only have a smaller menorah, then according to the law, all you need is one. Any and every night of Hanukkah, the bare minimum is one. So if you don't have a menorah and you are concerned, you can take one tea light, put it on a safe surface in the window, and light that one. If you'd like, you can put aluminum foil down and line up in a row 6 tea lights for tonight, and a shamash a little bit beyond, etc., to separate it, to make it clear that it's 6 and 1, and that would be fine. Now, listen carefully. Please be especially careful with lighting of candles tonight to make sure that your Ner Hanukkah is nowhere near anything that, God forbid, could catch fire. And certainly do not leave your home with the candles burning. If you have to leave your home, then perhaps consider, because you should light where you sleep and not where you eat, then perhaps consider lighting one tea light for Ner Hanukkah in the sink, right next to the sink. So if it should fall, it's only going to fall in the sink, and this way you are safe. Please, lo aleinu, there have been too many accidents, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, next, I want to discuss for a few minutes the interesting teaching of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, who teaches in 3 different Gemaras, in Megillah, in Psachim, and in Shabbos, that women are obligated in the mitzvah of Megillah and Purim. Women are obligated in drinking 4 cups of wine on the night of the Pesach Seder, and women are obligated to light Ner Hanukkah. Now, these 3 mitzvos, which are rabbinic mitzvos, women are obligated because, as the Rashbam explains in Psachim 108b, the Rashbam says, number 1, Afhin Hoyu Ba'osu Hanes, they too were in the miracle. Number 1, the opinion that says women caused the miracle. V'schus Noshim Tzidkonios, the Gemara in Sota 11b says, because of the righteous women in Egypt did we come out of Egypt. So therefore, they too are to drink the 4 cups because they brought about the salvation. Mikra Megillah was brought about through Esther, and Hanukkah was brought about through Yehudis, who, when she went to the governor, she managed to give him some milk and whatever else she was able to get him to sleep, and she decapitated him, brought his head to her father, and the rest is history. This is how the war begun. Others say that they too, like Tosfos brings, that they too were part of the threat. Namely, Haman wanted to kill men and women, and when it comes to Mitzrayim, the women as well were persecuted, and when it comes to Hanukkah, so the women as well had the immoral decree against them that a bride had to spend a night with the local governor before her marriage. So the Gemara says all of these 3 reasons and mitzvos, women are to participate therein. I'd like to ask you a very simple question. How does a woman lighting Ner Chanukah, how does that remind her of the fact that she brought about the miracle, or she too was threatened? And the answer is the teaching of the Maharal. The Maharal basically says that we know the second bracha, she'asa nisim, in the plural. God performed 2 miracles for us at Chanukah, Bayamim Oheim, Bazman Hazeh. Those days at this time. What are the 2 miracles? The first one is the very name Chanukah, Chonu. They rested. They stopped fighting. Cha, 25, on the 25th day of Kislev. And the second miracle is that the Pach Shemen, the 1 jar of oil, Tahora, Tor oil, this 1 jar lasted not for 1, but for, as we know, 8 days. 2 miracles. Now, says the Maharal, the second miracle wasn't really necessary. Who needed it? After all, technically speaking, unes rachmona patre. If you have no choice, you have no choice. Use impure oil. Or no, tumahu trubet sibur, like the Pnei Yoshua says. We were allowed to use even initially impure oil. So the answer comes along the Maharal and says, the first miracle was that of the military victory. As we say in the Al Hanisim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned over the mighty to the weak, the many to the few. The righteous were given the wicked. How do we explain this? We explain this, come on, that it was, maybe we had the home court advantage, meaning we knew the terrain of Israel, and therefore we won the war. Someone had to win the war. So rather than attribute any kind of other cause to our winning the war, came the second miracle, the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days. And why do we have that miracle? We have that miracle to remember we won the war. And what was the purpose of the war? The purpose of the war was that they wanted the Jewish people to assimilate. They wanted the Jewish people to give up their laws, T-H-E-I-R, the laws of the Jewish people, which the Greeks could not understand. They couldn't understand why you can't mix kosher meat with kosher milk if everything is kosher. They couldn't understand any of the chukim, as we say in the Al Hanisim, that they wanted to la'aviram mechuke ritzonecha, to turn the Jewish people away from the statutes, from those laws of the Torah that we can't understand, but we accept it because we believe it comes from God. And therefore, women, by lighting the Chanukah menorah, they are basically saying, I believe in 2 miracles. I believe in the miracle of the oil, which substantiates that the miracle of the war was not by chance, but the miracle of the war was God answering the Jewish people, and therefore, by lighting the candles, they are affirming that God is the one who controls history and destiny. Shabbat, shalom, and a freiliche Chanukah to all.